When you wake up in the morning, like usually you get to the race, it's kind of dark. The sun peeks out and just like everyone is, anxious and ready to go. I mean, it's just awesome just to be out there and feel that excitement.
My first adult triathlon was when I was about 25, somewhere in my mid-20s.
When I did my first triathlon, I was 42 years old.
I started swimming at 39 and I did my first tri at 40.
My first triathlon was 2008. I think we just figured out that was 41, so I started relatively late.
I was 34 years old, 34 years, 10 years ago, so.
I was about 32 years old when I did my first triathlon.
My name's Danielle Crump. I'm a registered nurse. I work in oncology. So I met another nurse and she said, I'm going to do this triathlon. Why don't you come and do it with me? And I said, well, what is it? You swim, you bike, and you run. Oh, I can't swim. There's no way I can do it. So I was about 39 at the time and I said, okay, I'll try. I'll come to the gym with you and I'll let you see how much I can swim. So I got into the pool and it took me forever to get that 25 yards, doggy paddling and just looking crazy, but she said, I think you need lessons. I'm like, yeah, I already signed up for this triathlon, so I'm not gonna back out, so yes, I will get lessons.
I am Robert Roa, 44 years old. I'm from the Washington, D.C. area, born and raised. I have a bloodline of South American, Paraguay, so my background is Paraguayan, and I love triathlons. I learned triathlons pretty much with friends that kind of introduced me to those things, and they just got me into, trying to do something other than cycling. I think swimming and running was a little bit of my weaknesses, but I learned from that point on just to hang out with people who actually do these kind of things, and that's where I met a friend of mine who got me into triathlons for the first time.
My name is Chuck Flahart. When I was in my late 30s, my kids were born, I saw a picture of me and I was big. So I was like, I'm gonna get in shape. I'm gonna start riding a bike. I rode and I rode and that did nothing. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna start running. And I was running and biking and I got involved with Team in Training. They had a triathlon. I was like, oh, I'm running and biking. I can add swimming. Piece of cake. I swam when I was little. Swimming's easy. I'm fit. Then I got into the pool and almost died after my first 50 yards because I was not swimming fit.
My name is Amanda Williams. I was born and raised in Columbia, Maryland, and I'm currently a physical education teacher at Forest Ridge Elementary School. Growing up, I played a lot of sports. As I went on to college, I played club volleyball, and then after college, I found that there was a little bit of a void in my life, which is one of the reasons I got into triathlons.
Hi, I'm Emmett LeBoon. I'm originally from San Francisco, California. I don't even know growing up if I ever heard about triathlon. Of course, you hear about these big marathon races and stuff like that. I was living in Singapore in 2009. Turned out I was part of this, it's called Tri-Malay group, and they were doing all kind of things, and it turns out they were doing a triathlon. I was like, oh, okay, that's cool. I mean, I didn't have I didn't have a bike. I didn't own one, so. But I went with them to Desaru, Malaysia, and I did the sprint triathlon with them, and it's pretty fun. So I was kind of hooked from there.
God, how did I get introduced to triathlon? That's an interesting story. My name is Susie Montoya. I was out running a Turkey Day social run in Howard County, and I was running with a local legend, and I didn't realize it. And we started talking about triathlon, and before you know it, by the time I finished that Turkey run, she had already told me that I was going to sign up and do my first triathlon.
Hi, my name is James Brown. After I kind of had a health scare at work, or coming home from work, we had like really long days, and I kind of fainted on the train coming home. After that, I started getting into biking. I started riding, doing a lot of biking. Eventually, my sister-in-law, who had been doing triathlons, encouraged me to come start riding with her. After seeing her, knowing that I had one of the sports down, I decided to go ahead. And in 2017, I did the Columbia Triathlon here.
No one in my community was doing triathlons at that time. My friends thought I was crazy not being able to swim. This is insane, but they supported me.
I think the first time I got in the water to try to practice for it, 25 meters in, I was huffing and puffing. I was like, and I got to do 400 meters for a sprint. I don't know how to do this. And
I'm terrified of the water. There's no way I'm going to be able to do this. And I couldn't really get that into my head, what that meant. Like, how much swimming does this mean?
Swimming was humbling. I was biking what I thought was a long, 20, 30 miles at a time, thinking that was a long ride, running 10Ks at that point without much difficulty. I got in the pool and was fighting for the first 50. I mean, it took me a while to really learn that biking fitness and running fitness and swimming fitness are three different things.
I was only able to swim 4 laps the first time I got in the pool, and was very winded. So I actually competed my first 7 triathlons all breaststroke. Didn't have to sight anything because my head was always out of the water.
The first thing when I woke up that first race day was like, what was I thinking to think that I could do something as big as a triathlon?
I remember how much stuff I had with me. I guarantee you I took more stuff to that race than I took to Ironman when I finally got there.
There were 2 things that stuck out to me about my first triathlon. The first one was being terrified getting in the water. So I took my parents' advice and I got to the very edge of the group and I stood to the back of my age group to let all the fast swimmers go out and hopefully not kick me in the face.
There's a lot of things that could go through your head. In fact, my first triathlon, I was so nervous. I mean, my heart was racing before I even got in the water, so I think my energy just kind of went out. The only thing for me, I kept thinking about to make me feel positive is when am I going to get on that bike? Get me on that bike already.
My trick was that I would just buy a wetsuit, I would float, and I could make it all the way to the end. I was the guy, if you watched in 2017, there was a guy floating in the middle of Centennial Lake. That was me, I was doing a back float. And eventually I floated all the way to the side, and the guy in the kayak said, hey guy, the race is over there.
Coming out of the water now, again, my arms are a little kind of jelly and, just getting on the bike. And I just thinking to myself, welcome to my world. I'm back on the one thing that I love doing is riding a bike.
The main thing I learned on my first triathlon was don't try to race through transition. It's just not going to go well when you do.
The second memory I have is I started the run with my helmet on. So I now say at every single triathlon, helmet for hat, helmet for hat, helmet for hat for half the bike. So I never make that same mistake again.
How did I feel after I crossed the finish line? I felt very accomplished and proud of myself, and I think it took me a minute to digest what I had been through, and then I know that I eventually thought, I want more of that.
I cried that first time. I was very emotional. My friend took a picture of me and she's like, "Oh, you did it, Rob, you did it." And I was extremely happy. I finally crossed that finish line for the first time.
The best memory of finishing my first race is just finishing. My mom has always taught us that finishing is winning. And that's how I view every race now. I finish it, and that's the enjoyment that I get out of the race, is just finishing.
Anybody who wants to train can do a triathlon.
I don't think there's a perfect body type, and I've seen many different body types, and that's one of the reasons why I love triathlon so much.
When you go there on race day, it's just amazing. You see everybody. You see all shapes, sizes, colors. Man, everyone has that same goal. So it's not necessary that you have to concern yourself, oh, I can't do it because I don't fit the body type. There is none.
Oh, being too old for triathlon? Definitely not, definitely not. I started later in life. It has been the best part of my life as I've gotten older. Again, it's all about wellness. You don't have to be fast. It just has to be something that you enjoy.
You don't have to be in any type of shape or form, tall, short, big, skinny. I mean, I'm skinny myself here, and if I can do it, anybody could do it. There's no questions about it.
I've heard that the best body type that you could have for a triathlon is the one that would carry you over the finish line.
To start into the world of triathlon, you don't need much.
I borrowed a wetsuit, and I didn't know what shoes to buy. I just went and got some shoes, and I just started running. So if I could do this, anybody could do this.
People think, oh, I need this $15,000 bike. I need this $5,000 bike. I had a $500 mountain bike that I did my first triathlon on.
I started with a pair of running shoes and a $25 rusted bike.
You can get a used bike. Don't let that stop you from experiencing triathlon.
Definitely look good for your race picture at the finish line, but you don't necessarily need all the fancy gear.
My advice for first timers is just try it. Once you try it, you're going to be hooked. You're going to love it. You don't need anything fancy. You just need a bike, a helmet, swimsuit and goggles, and a pair of running shoes.
What I love about triathlon, I guess the difference of it, that it's not one sport. It's 3 different things that you have to work on. Everybody, encourages you. It doesn't matter, you might be somewhat competitive or whatever, but people still yeah, go for it, finish, and everybody's cheering you along, regardless of if you're on the path, if you're doing your bike, you might be passing someone on the run, and you still, yeah, go, let's go, keep it up, push hard. So you're just not a runner, you're just not a biker, you're just not a swimmer, you're all 3. And you gotta be able to bring all those things together. You gotta come with your A game.
There are many things I love about triathlon, but the one thing I do love is meeting people. Every race I do, my goal is to find a friend. I've met many people in the whole triathlon setting.
I love the people, I love the atmosphere, I love the feeling of getting to that finish line. It's a happy sport.
This sport has been my extended family because of the relationships that I've made. I get to test how strong I am, and it keeps me super healthy. It's my therapy, but it's also allowed me to make the best friends in this community.